So Cameron, a lot of questions that we get are, hey man, a long time ago, I had a felony charge on my record, and I'm trying to get a job, and it popped up on a background check. Is that something you can take care of?
That depends. So when people call us and ask us about expunging a felony crime off of their record, what they're asking us is they're wanting to remove that off their record. And so if they were convicted of a felony crime, it's going to depend on what the felony crime is. If it's a felony crime that's a violent crime, the answer is no. There's a long list of other felony crimes, such as embezzlement, that cannot be expunged off your record. But most drug crimes can be expunged. We see that a lot. And so if you're convicted of something like a drug crime and you have been 5 years off of your probation and you've paid everything off, we can petition the court for an expungement. It doesn't automatically mean that you get one. And that's completely separate from getting your gun rights back. And
I was going to ask you about gun rights.
So to get your gun rights back would be another topic of discussion. But most people that call us about expungements are calling us about a case they were arrested on and the case got dismissed. So if you're arrested for a misdemeanor crime or a felony crime and the case gets dismissed, you're entitled to an expungement. And we do a lot of those all over the state of Mississippi. A lot of times with our felony criminal defense work, we get people who have been charged with the crime, we look them up, they're in jail, and they have been tagged with a probation violation. My first question to you, Bay, is what does that mean?
So, a lot of times we'll have clients that get sentenced to jail or what they call post-release supervision. But after you get out of jail or if you get sentenced to probation, you have to check in monthly with your probation officer. You have to pay your fines and fees every month. Now, after 5 years, you might not have to report to court. But what a probation violation is it's basically that you violated the terms of your court-ordered probation. Now, that can be failing to report. That can be committing a new crime. That can be not paying your fines and fees. But where they really get you is, if you just commit a misdemeanor or you violate a condition, they'll send you what's called the technical violation center. A lot of times, that can vary from 90 days to 180 days. But if you fail to report for a period of longer than 6 months, the court can sentence you to jail for the remainder of your time. And I know, Cameron, you've had a lot of experience litigating probation violations.
And we tell people from the beginning, those are very tough cases. Those are very tough cases because if you go in front of a judge on a probation violation case, they're going to say, you've been given a chance, you're back before me because you've gotten in trouble again. And so we get very, very little leeway with judges when it comes to probation violations. A lot of times the work that we can do on them cases, a lot of times include fighting the crime that they've been charged with that violates their probation. So, if you get arrested for a DUI, you get arrested for domestic violence, that'll violate your probation. And we tell people who call us on that, well, yeah, the probation violation is there, but we got to fight the underlying crime. And so that's where a lot of our work goes in on probation violations. And obviously the law has changed in probation violations over the years that require certain notices and time restraints, but it hasn't changed the fact that they are very difficult cases, and we handle a lot of them.
That's right, and probation is different than parole. If you're in prison and you make parole, you'll be out on what's similar to probation. You'll have a probation officer, still have to report. But if you violate, you will go in front of the parole board. And the parole board has a lot of discretion, a lot of latitude, and they can sentence you to the remainder of your time for pretty much anything. So those are serious cases. They're tough cases. But another form of probation is non-adjudicated probation. And I know you've got some experience dealing with non-adjudication.
So if you're a first-time offender, a lot of times if you plead guilty to a crime, you are eligible for non-adjudicated probation. And what that means is the court accepts your plea of guilty, but withholds adjudication of guilt, puts you on probation. For a drug crime, it's usually 3 years. For other crimes, it's usually 5 years. And complete your terms of probation and your charge gets dismissed. You can expunge it off your record. You violate your terms and you're facing a probation violation.